Today I want to talk about something really important that a lot of high performers don't give enough relevance or credit to. I'm Suzanne Rath and you're listening to Endures for your daily dose of endurance, leadership and life lessons. And today I wanted to touch on the integration phase that hits us after we achieve a big goal, a KPI, a big dream or a vision. So let me tell you about the Friday after I finished the Great North Walk. So I finished on the Tuesday, we went to stay in the Hunter Valley in a beautiful place, and on the Friday we left to go back to Sydney. Now here is a list of some of the things that I got tearful about on that Friday morning. Number one, I didn't get time for a last swim before we left. Number two, the alpacas at the property walked away from me. The third thing, I cried when we got to the Ampol service station that we had slept in in the camper van in the car park for about 45 minutes on the third night before starting that final day. We walked up to have a look at the descent of Doom, which actually didn't look that bad in the daylight, and because we weren't at the really steep section, but I was in my moon boot and I thought about all the pain and feeling like I couldn't get up that morning, feeling like I wouldn't finish it, and the coughing and all the rest of it. I cried, probably understandably this one, when I went in for the same day MRI that I'd booked, and they told me they'd booked it on the Wednesday, and then luckily they fit me in. And I'm not a crier normally. And so the really interesting thing about this for me, like I've been in this state before of having these like big goals and allowing myself this integration phase. So I knew exactly what was happening, but I think it's a really important point to touch upon. So firstly, when we hit this big goal, we kind of have this, okay, well, what next? So sometimes we can feel a little bit fatigued from the goal. We have a bit of an identity lag of where our identity is shifted. But we're still kind of, maybe our life goes back to normal, but internally we've changed. We can have that post-achievement dip as a really normal thing. So that can be a hormonal thing, it can be a fatigue thing, it can be sometimes that we don't feel fulfilled by the goal. Now I can tell you I 100% felt fulfilled by that goal, and I speak about this in my keynote, having goals that maybe don't fulfill us and the difference between them. But the accumulation of push, drive, 3 days with 6 hours sleep, physical pain, and it's definitely going to take its toll. The same as if we're sick or, we go away or we have family issues. And so it's really important in these phases to avoid a couple of things and maybe to do a couple of things. So one, you don't want to just keep pushing. Now, I talk about achieving summit after summit, but I don't mean that you get to the top of one and then you keep going. You go through an integration phase, you go through a recovery phase. It's really important to go through a phase of anchoring that identity and reflection back on the thing and so on. And I've been doing a lot of reflection on the race, and I will be making a video about it with some of the footage. We didn't have that much footage, but some of the footage that we took. But it's taken me all this time to go, well, what did I get out of it? What were the learnings? I mean, they're there, but just to go deeper. And then the second thing is to make sure that you don't just bounce, right? To make sure you take the time to actually recover, to allow your cortisol levels to reset, to take that time to reflect. So rather than elevating to the next thing that might not actually align with your vision and values, elevating to something that really has meaning for you and making sure that you've taken the time to celebrate the win of doing the thing, right? Sometimes high achievers just push. So you finish one thing, you're like, okay, tick box, all right, what am I doing next? And I know that externally I can look just as guilty of this as anybody, right? Like oh my goodness, I think less than 3 weeks' time, I am supposed to be going to Margaret River to run an 80K. Totally different goals, totally different event. But, externally, that can look like just bouncing from one thing to the other. But what actually happens internally is I have these really structured processes for, resetting, refocusing, celebrating the win, recovering. And that's a big part of what I'm doing right now, even though I am traveling to speak at a conference, is actually integrating some recovery modalities, both in terms of sleep and rest and hydration and nutrition, and just a lower training load, more reflection time, a different chapter of my life, massage, a little bit more yoga, all those kind of things. And so I would encourage you to, if you have just achieved a massive goal or you're in the process of achieving a massive goal, think for a second about how you're going to adopt that integration phase. And what I would suggest is that you really take the time to reflect on that identity shift and think, how are you going to bring that identity shift forwards with you into life in a way that aligns with you, your unique self, your purpose, your vision, your values. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow for more from Endures.